The throne hall of the Thal'ri Empire shimmered with crystalline light. Dozens of alien nobles, tall and proud, adorned in silver robes and jeweled armor, watched as the defeated warrior was dragged across the marble floor. Princess Viral of the Thal'ri, once commander of their eastern legions, knelt in chains. Her vibrant emerald skin was smeared with dust and blood. The nobles sneered from their high seats, whispering insults that echoed like blades through the air. "She lost to humans," one hissed. "A disgrace to the royal bloodline," another laughed. "Her failures brought shame upon our name." At the far end of the hall, the emperor leaned forward on his golden throne, his eyes hard. "Viral," he said coldly, "you were supposed to crush the humans of the Terran colonies. Instead, you were captured by them." The crowd murmured, disgust thick in the air. Viral lifted her head weakly. "Silence," the emperor thundered. "You will not speak until spoken to. You are stripped of your command and your honor. You will live in exile until the empire finds use for your failure." The guards shoved her down, and laughter rolled through the chamber. She stared at the floor, the weight of her disgrace crushing her spirit. But from the corner of the hall, a single voice cut through the jeers. "Enough!" The sound was soft, but it carried. Every noble turned toward the source. A human stood there, dressed not in armor, but in simple gray fatigues, his face bearing a scar across the cheek. His name was Captain Elias Ward, an envoy from the Terran coalition. Humanity had recently entered an uneasy truce with the Thal'ri after years of bloodshed. Ward had come as part of the peace delegation, unarmed, outnumbered, and vastly underestimated. The nobles hissed at him as if he were an insect. "How dare a human speak in this hall?" one spat. Elias's expression didn't change. He walked forward until he stood beside the fallen princess. "Because," he said, looking directly at the emperor, "what you're doing is beneath even your enemies." Part 1. The Human's Defiance. Gasps filled the hall. The guards moved to strike him down, but the emperor raised his hand. "You presume to lecture me in my own court, Terran?" Elias nodded calmly. "I do. Because even in defeat, a soldier deserves dignity. You call her a disgrace, but she fought for you while you sat on that throne." The emperor's gaze burned. "You think a human understands honor?" "I think," Elias said slowly, "that I understand respect, maybe more than anyone here." The hall erupted in anger. The nobles shouted for his arrest, for his execution. Viral, her eyes wide, whispered hoarsely, "Stop! You'll be killed." But the human didn't move. His calm defiance struck something deep in her. The emperor rose, his voice booming. "Take him away." Guards advanced, but Viral, in one last flicker of courage, raised her voice. "Wait!" Every head turned. She was trembling, but she stood, chains clinking, back straight. "You call me a failure," she said, voice shaking but steady. "But if this human, an enemy, can show more honor than the nobles of the Thal'ri, then maybe the shame isn't mine." The hall fell silent. The emperor's face twisted in fury. "Enough," he roared. "Both of you, get out of my sight." Viral was dragged away again. Elias was escorted after her. But neither looked down this time. Part 2. Exile. Days later, the emperor sent them both to the frontier, a wasteland on the edge of Thal'ri space, ravaged by war and radiation. Officially, it was exile for her and cultural reassignment duty for him. In truth, it was punishment. The base was half buried in dust. Supplies were scarce. Most of the garrison had left long ago. Elias worked silently, repairing what he could, Broken generators, collapsed domes, rusted communication lines. Viral stayed distant, still bitter from the humiliation she had endured. One night, she found him outside under the violet moons, welding a cracked power conduit. "You could have stayed silent," she said finally. "Why did you speak for me?" Elias didn't look up. "Because no one else did." She frowned. "We were enemies." He set down his tool. "You weren't my enemy that day. You were a soldier being broken for politics. I've seen that too many times on both sides." Her gaze softened, though she didn't show it. "Humans confuse me. You fight like demons, but you care." He chuckled. "Maybe that's our secret. We care because we fight. We protect what matters." That night something shifted between them. Part 3, The Fall of the Outpost. Weeks passed. Together they rebuilt the base, surviving harsh storms and food shortages. Viral slowly regained her strength, training again, sparring in the mornings, helping Elias repair equipment. Then came the day the alarms blared. A rogue Thal'ri warlord, hearing the princess was in exile, arrived to claim her life and her legacy. His fleet descended in fire and fury. "We can't fight them," Viral shouted over the sirens. "We have no ships, no soldiers." Elias looked at her, calm but determined. "Then we make them think we do." They scrambled to set traps, rigging power cells as explosives, using scrap metal to fake weapon turrets, and transmitting false fleet signals to confuse the enemy sensors. When the warlord's forces landed, the barren landscape exploded in a storm of chaos. The human-led defense, though only 2 people, fought like 100. Elias manned the comms, his voice steady as he directed energy bursts and detonations. Viral, wielding a salvaged plasma spear, led from the front, fighting her own kind, torn between loyalty and survival. By nightfall, the warlord's army withdrew, believing they faced a massive resistance. The base lay in ruins, but they stood alive. Part 4, The Rise. Days later, the Emperor's forces arrived to investigate. They found scorched wreckage, enemy ships destroyed, and a signal beacon broadcasting Viral's name. When the Emperor saw the footage, his exiled daughter and a human defending a dead world together, he said nothing. Instead, he summoned them both back. The hall was silent as Viral entered once more, standing where she had once been humiliated. The nobles murmured in disbelief. The Emperor rose. "You stand before me again, Viral of the Thal'ri. This time not as a prisoner, but as one who defended the Empire when no one else would." He turned to Elias. "And you, human, why did you help her? Why risk your life for someone who once sought to destroy you?" Elias met his gaze. "Because strength means nothing without compassion. You rule empires, but you forget what it means to stand with someone instead of above them." The Emperor stared for a long moment. Then, shockingly, he bowed his head slightly. "Perhaps humanity still has things to teach us." Gasps filled the hall. Viral stepped forward. "You all mocked me once," she said to the nobles. "But it was a human who reminded me what true honor is. You measured worth by bloodlines. He measured it by actions. Maybe that's why they survived every war we threw at them." For the first time, the nobles said nothing. Part 5, The Meaning of Strength. Later, as the two stood on a balcony overlooking the alien city, Viral turned to Elias. "You could have asked for anything. Wealth, favor, status. Instead, you asked for nothing." He smiled faintly. "I didn't help you for a reward. I helped because it was right." She looked at him quietly. "You humans are strange." "Maybe," he said, "but sometimes strange is exactly what the galaxy needs." She laughed softly, then looked out at the stars. You made me rise again, Elias. Not as a princess, but as someone who can stand on her own. He turned toward her. You never needed me to make you rise, Viral. You just needed someone to remind you that you could. Their eyes met, the silence between them filled with understanding. Two former enemies, bound by something deeper than politics, by shared pain, shared honor, and shared strength. Epilogue. In the years that followed, Viral became an ambassador between the Thal'ri and humanity. Her speeches always ending with a single line, "Honor is not in birth, but in choice," spread across both worlds. And whenever someone asked her where she learned that truth, she would smile and reply, "From the human who refused to let me stay on my knees."